So my wife and I went to Hobby Lobby the other day, and she saw these and fell in love with them. The only thing is they're pine, so I figured I'd make it out of cedar for just a little bit more money. So for this project, I use Hart's brushless impact and driver, 1/2-inch drill bit, speed square pencil, brushless circular saw, and tape measure. So for these, I'm marking out 12 inches. You'll need 3 sides and a bottom. The bottom will be 9.5 by 10.5. and the rest will be your backing. So after you get all your pieces cut out, I'm marking spots to go ahead and drill holes. And you don't have to, but I'm using a countersink bit. After you get all your holes marked out, go ahead and start drilling everything together. As you can see, I'm going way overboard with the screws, but it's alright. You really only need maybe 3 to 4 on each side, but I wanted to go and just do overkill. Next up, using that 1/2-inch drill bit to go ahead and pop a couple holes in the bottom for drainage. With some stencils I had laying around, my wife wanted me to put our house number on it, facing the street, just to give it more curb appeal. And we had stencils laying around along with some paint and some brushes, but this couldn't be any more than roughly 15 bucks. And yes, if you want to spend a little bit more money, you can go ahead and get wooden numbers or metal numbers and put it on there. But again, I'm trying to do this fairly cheap and simple. Grow and this plant that looks really pretty. Not sure what it is. Wife picked it out, but it's okay. Alright, so filling in the rest of the gaps with Miracle Grow and water in it. Also put in some water all over the box just to help it acclimate to the outside weather. And that's it. What do you guys think? Thanks for the follow and the like.
Garden Makeover Part 1, starting by measuring out a border, popping 2 stakes in the ground with some taut rope around the edges, using this as a guide to remove everything I need and edge that area. I then got Mike's help to dig it all up, mixed in a couple of bags of compost, got to planting and bought my first ever tree. Follow Jen's Home Journal for more.
If you're looking for garden bed ideas, here's one for you. Last year, I built this raised bed / greenhouse using polyethylene plastic. With this, I was able to extend my season by planting early in the spring and keeping the plants late in the fall. Side doors can be opened for airflow during the hot summer days, while the mesh keeps the bugs away. And the middle rack can be used for seed starting or grow herbs.
Here's my take on the dollar store tower garden. I used a blowtorch because it was much easier than using a drill, which cracked this cheap plastic. I also used rebar to reinforce it so that I can stick it into my soil. I also made it so it spins. I mixed my own soil for this because it's cheaper than buying potting mix, and I stacked it next to my deck so I can have fresh herbs right out of the garden.
You want to learn how to make a DIY in the garden bed vermicompost bin? Well, let's go. First, you're going to need a bucket and drill holes in it. The more the better. I've even seen some with the holes cut out on the bottom. Next, you're going to want to find a location, preferably in the shade, especially here in the desert when you want to help keep those worms cool during the summer. Next, you're going to dig a hole big enough for the container to go in. I use a chop and drop and no tilling in my garden. Look how healthy my soil is. Now we're ready to put the bin in. Hopefully it works. Woo! And it does. Then I'm going to replenish some of the garden soil that I took out and make it nice and snug in here. I'll remove the soil that I have covering over the lid, and that's it. We're all set, so come back and I'll show you how to add the red wigglers to your new underground vermicompost bin.
Okay, but how bored did you guys get during quarantine? Because I painted rocks. They're labels for the garden. The garden appreciation post.
This is how I built my DIY garden gate for less than $15. The base wood that I used was fence pickets from Lowe's that were 6 feet long and cost me $2.17 each. I cut them all to size, saving as much wood as possible to be able to reuse in the process. I filled in the center with chicken wire to keep my dogs out of the garden, and then braced everything together to make a nice, sturdy 3-foot wide gate. I used some of the scrap wood to fill in and cover the edges of the chicken wire and to give it some extra stability, so it looks nice and is nice and strong. I did X braces across the center to make it nice and sturdy and also to give it that farmhouse flair. Overall, the final product turned out so nice. I love the aesthetic and it's going to look so nice in my new garden. Keep following along for more DIY garden updates on a budget.